Recently, the Assam government has notified EV policy of Assam 2021, which came into effect from 4th September 2021 for a period of 5 years or till the declaration of a new or revised policy, whichever is earlier. Along with embracing and accelerating the pace of adoption of electric mobility as a tool to promote clean transportation, policy envisions creating an ecosystem for manufacturing EV components in Assam. Let us go through the objectives of the policy. Main objective of policy is to have contribution of 25% from EV in all new vehicle registrations by 2026. 1. To improve Assam's air quality by bringing down emissions from the transport sector. 2. To create robust infrastructure for EV including adequate power supply and network of charging points with favorable power tariff. 3. To create a pool of skilled workforce for the EV industry and to create new jobs in the EV industry. And 4. To create a conducive environment for industry and research institutions to focus on cutting-edge research in EV technologies and make Assam the preferred destination for EV and component manufacturing. How does Assam strategize to achieve this? 1. To increase the viability of EV by providing fiscal and non-fiscal incentives. 2. Promotion of creation of dedicated infrastructure for charging of EVs through subsidization of investment. And 3. To promote the establishment of research and development centers and center of excellence across the state. Now, before going deep into the provisions, we should understand what EV constitutes under the policy. Electric scooters, motorcycles, electric three-wheelers, electric cars, electric vans, electric buses, and other electric passenger vehicles, all these will constitute under the definition of electric vehicle under the policy. Also, lead-acid batteries will not be considered as EV batteries. Moving to the targets set under the policy. The state will target and support the deployment of the first 2 lakh electric vehicles either under individual use or commercial use during the policy duration of 5 years. The segment-wise target are: 2-wheelers, 1 lakh units; 3-wheelers, 75,000 units; 4-wheelers, 25,000 units. More targets are: converting 100% of the public transport bus fleet into electric buses by 2030. All government vehicles to be converted to electric vehicles by 2030. After 2025, only electric vehicles will be purchased for government purpose. Phasing out all fossil fuel-based commercial fleets and logistics vehicles in all cities by 2030. Now, we will see the incentives under the policy for early adopters. Demand incentive from the state shall be over and above any subsidies that are available from the central government through its promotional schemes and policies. 2 bases of such incentives are: 1. Battery capacity expressed in terms of kilowatt-hour. And 2. Maximum ex-factory price to avail the incentive. To begin with, for 2-wheeler segments, an amount of 10,000 rupees per kilowatt-hour capacity of battery will be given as incentive up to a battery capacity of 2 kilowatt-hour. It will be applicable only if the ex-factory cost of the vehicle is up to 1.5 lakh rupees only. Next comes 3-wheeler segment. An amount of 10,000 rupees per kilowatt-hour capacity of battery will be given as incentive up to a battery capacity of 5 kilowatt-hour. It will be applicable only if the ex-factory cost of the vehicle is up to 5 lakh rupees only. Last one is the 4-wheeler segment. An amount of 10,000 rupees per kilowatt-hour capacity of battery will be given as incentive up to a battery capacity of 15 kilowatt-hour. It will be applicable only if the ex-factory cost of the vehicle is up to 15 lakh rupees only. Now, we see the additional incentives. First of all, the maximum amount of the above subsidy should not be more than 40% of the ex-factory price. Second, exemption of registration charges and road tax on 2, 3 and 4-wheeler electric vehicles for 5 years. Third, 100% waiver on parking charges for EVs for 5 years. Finally, retrofitment incentive at the rate of 15% up to 15,000 rupees for 3-seater auto rickshaws. Moving forward to incentives for EV charging infrastructure. State government will promote a variety of business models, which are privately owned, discom-owned, and investor-owned charging and battery swapping stations. Commercial public EV charging stations for two-wheelers, three-wheelers, four-wheelers will be eligible for 25% capital subsidy on equipment machinery subject to a maximum limit of 10 lakh rupees per station. This incentive will be provided to first 500 commercial public EV charging stations. The subsidy for charging stations will only be given to those developers, individuals or entities that have not availed similar subsidies under any policy or scheme of the state government unless it is specifically prescribed under this policy. Also, petrol pumps will be allowed to set up charging stations subject to qualifying fire and safety standard norms issued by the competent authorities. The state government will exempt 90% electricity duty of EV charging stations, while 10% electricity duty shall be paid by the entrepreneurs during the period of this policy. The tariff for new third-party owned EV charging infrastructure shall be as per the ARC tariff order for utilities. Finally comes the incentive for manufacturing of EV and its components in the state. Existing incentives in terms of 30% capital investment subsidy and 3% interest subsidy on working capital loan available under Northeast Industrial Development Scheme 2017 will continue. Apart from this, some additional incentives are provided under the policy, which are 20% of the cost of plant and machinery for MSME and large manufacturing units. Units manufacturing EV or their components will be eligible for additional interest subsidy at 2% on working capital loan. Now, let us see the battery recycling related provisions under the policy. This provision is very good and seems to be a way forward for other states, in our view. Reuse of EV batteries that have reached the end of their life will be encouraged, and the setting up of recycling businesses in collaboration with battery and EV manufacturers that focus on urban mining of rare materials within the battery for reuse by battery manufacturers will be promoted. To begin with, EV owners can deposit vehicle batteries that have reached their end of life at any charging point or swapping station landfills and in return get a remunerative price for the battery. Along with this, disposal of EV batteries in any other manner, for example, in or as scrap, will not be allowed. In the next step, the nodal agency, which will be working as an aggregator, will purchase EV batteries that are at least 70% of rated capacity. These batteries will be purchased from the charging points and battery swapping stations and will then be reused as power banks to store renewable energy. Finally, batteries procured in such a manner will be auctioned to renewable generators within and outside Assam. The nodal agency will publish the purchase price of end-of-life batteries every month based on auction prices achieved. Towards the end, let us see how the state aims to promote research and development through this policy. The state government will partner with premier technical institutes for establishing centers of excellence for conducting market-focused research on battery technologies, battery management, motors and controllers. Government will offer financial support to startups for research and innovation in EV and battery technologies. Having known the provisions under the EV policy of the state, it is also important to understand where Assam stands today in terms of EV and its infrastructure. As on 31st August 2021, 1,908 electric vehicles have been sold under FAME 1 and 458 electric vehicles under FAME 2. And 100 electric buses have been sanctioned by central government under FAME 2 scheme. 15 buses have been deployed under FAME 1 scheme. Apart from this, only 20 chargers have been sanctioned for the state. This clearly indicates that the state is at very early stage of EV adoption and has a long way to cover. Hope you got a good idea about the policy. What are your views on the policy? Do comment below on the same. Also, comment below and tell us the topic on which you want to see videos from us. Like and share the video. Also, subscribe to the channel to see more such videos in future.